and invite up first Lucia Folk. She is the Vice President of Public Affairs at Country Music Television, where she leads their corporate social responsibility initiatives and oversees government affairs. She's garnered national attention and industry accolades for both the Power of One campaign aimed at motivating 1 million volunteers across the U.S. and the network support of education initiatives, including CMT's involvement with the Academies of Nashville. We're also going to invite up Robbin Wall. He's been the executive principal of Nashville's McGavock, am I pronouncing that correctly? McGavock High School since 2009, and has received national recognition for his transformational leadership of the Academies of Nashville, including obtaining model status from the National Career Academy Coalition. Lucia and Robbin, thanks for coming and taking time to speak, and you've got the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, governors. I never thought when I took my job at Country Music Television 12 years ago I'd be addressing this esteemed panel, and I'm usually way more laid back than this, so bear with me. We're so excited to be here to showcase what true public and private partnership can do, and to have the business community help support the most important part of our communities, which is educating our children. When the Academies of Nashville were launched here, it was a pretty amazing piece of organization, if you will, between the Metro Nashville Schools, our Nashville Chamber of Commerce, and 2 nonprofit partners. Basically 9 principals came and said, our high schools are failing, we need some help. And so they started the Academies of Nashville. So this is a way comprehensively to make sure that every single child in high school in Nashville is afforded the same opportunity for advancement, no matter who they are, where they live, what their circumstances are. And it's pretty transformative, and I think it's been pretty amazing for us because as people who work in the corporate sector, we're told all the time how our schools are failing, we need your help, and all we've ever been asked really is for contributions money-wise, right? How can we do this? And the Academies, the beauty of it is because it's systemic integration and partnership with businesses throughout the school, and lending of expertise and really being partners in crime. Robbin and I are colleagues now, and have open conversation and the transparency there so that we can help support excellence for our students. Just to give you a snapshot of Nashville's public schools, there are approximately 82,000 students, 66 are on free and reduced lunch. There are 12 zoned high schools with 15,000 students. You can see the school employees. We have 163 languages in our high schools in Nashville. That may be surprising to a lot of you. So a snapshot of McGavock High School in 2009, and you started there then, right?
That's correct.
So the year prior to Robbin's tenure at McGavock, first of all, it's a 500,000 square foot building. It took me 2 years to figure out sort of how to get around it. All is very confusing. So that's one thing. 2, the year prior to Principal Wall's tenure, they had 5 principals in 1 year. 5. To say it was utter chaos is an understatement. So our smart school system and our chamber went down and recruited this lovely gentleman who was going to go into retirement in his great home state of Texas.
That's correct.
We did, because he had experience in academies there. So obviously you need great leadership in a school for any change to be taking place. And this is what Robbin was given when he started. 2,500 students, it's Title I, high priority, 61% official free and reduced lunch. Look at the demographics, 68% graduation rate, only 2.7 from outside of their zone, and only 41% of the grads with an ACT composite score of 19 or above, which is The 19 is the requirement for a minimum promise scholarship. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So what this group of these private partnership and between the Chamber and MNPS came up with was they looked to the Ford Partnership for Advanced Studies and Learning. And I think this is the brilliance of this model, and I think it can be scaled into any of your communities, and has been successfully. I'm proud of Nashville because we're the first city in the country that has taken it fully to scale in all 12 zoned high schools at once. Maybe we're a little crazy, but it looks like it's working out pretty well. So the three strands are redesigning the high school. So it is a blend to what you guys have been speaking about, not just about college, but also career ready, and giving children exposure to careers they might not have ever thought about before. Transforming teaching and learning, so it's not a sit and get. It is really project-based learning in the classroom, and sustaining change through business and civic leadership. So this is where we come in, and I think that's a pretty great part of the process. So redesigning high schools, what does that mean? So your freshman year, you go to a freshman academy. Can you imagine walking to that 500 square foot, 500,000, excuse me, square foot building and seeing that? You're put together with your freshman colleagues, and you learn everything from how to approach an adult, how to learn the quote-unquote soft skills of how you behave, resume, and they already start talking about college and career as soon as you put your foot in the door. And then for 10th through 12th grade, the best part of this presentation is going to be after we stop talking. It's our lovely students on the back row. There are 4 different academies that are of a thematic focus. So if you're interested in broadcasting and journalism, you can go into that academy, and all of your academic classes. So it's the beauty of CTE, Career and Technical Education, blended with your academic classes. So it's not a separate entity, it's all together. Teacher teams with common planning time. It was news to me that teachers did not plan together prior to this. And as people who work in business, you have to sort of know what everyone's doing. So there were some teachers when we first started this partnership that didn't even know each other's names in the building. Creating assistant principals over each academy, an academy coach, which I like to call the sort of the axle in the middle of the wheel that keeps it going, who partners with the business community to engage them and fill the needs there, and sometimes translate the Japanese to English of business speak versus education speak. And then offerings informed by our workforce. So we work with the Nashville Chamber to identify what our workforce needs here are, so that we're actually preparing kids in our schools for real high-wage jobs in Nashville. And there's 10 national standards of practice, which McGavock is very proud that we were the first model academy, right? We're a little proud of ourselves. So the transforming teaching and learning, you'll see here, this is our friend Terry Dahl at CMT with an externship. So what part of this is we bring the teachers into our business to learn about what we do for a living, making TV. Obviously, teachers usually have been in the classroom their entire career, so they know about teaching. They don't understand production of television. This is in a post-production area at CMT where you edit together content, you make sure the audio looks good, sounds good, excuse me. Terry used nachos, building nachos, so we learned something from our teachers and using project-based learning. And basically you had to make a plate of nachos by using chopsticks to do that, right? Because that's how precise you have to be with editing. Just something that would, so the teachers could remember it. And then he would throw in weird things. So, you're editing something together, but then you have a sponsor who wants to be part of your program, and then all of a sudden you're put with something different. So transforming teaching and learning, that's one of the many examples. We had heads of all of our different departments talk to these teachers, and it sort of kicked off the interdisciplinary project for the year for these teachers and their students. So back to this transforming teaching and learning. They take it back into the school, And we have a CMT Music Award program that was just here in June of each year. The teachers worked with the students to model their own Digital Design and Communications Award show with the students. Now that sounds fun, but if you look at it, what they do is they take an essential question that informs all of the classroom studies. So whether you're math, whether you're in your English class, whether you're in your CTE broadcasting class, you're talking about the same thing, so it's reinforced. So the question is, how should excellence be determined? They looked between the popular vote and the electoral vote, or the popular vote and judging, and seeing the difference between that. If you look behind these young gentlemen who were playing, you'll see the design of a logo that was done in their geometry class. We had our art designers, creative team come in and talk to them about thinking about spatial design and how you have to figure out all of that and how you apply that to geometry. And they use their geometry computer program to do that. And then finally, getting kids into our offices. We try to treat CMT as an extension of the McGavock campus. These are some students who came in for job shadowing experiences, so they get to identify what parts and what pathways, so whether they want to go down a creative pathway or they want to do broadcasting, they come in, they shadow people within our office. And then this is the part that I think is what is so important about it, especially with our upcoming mayor is up for in 2016. Of course, our head of schools is going to move on at some point, and we want this not to be just the next education thing that happens every 2 years, which we want to ensure that it's there. There's 200 plus business partners all over Nashville that are this intrinsically intertwined into these different academies based on their business needs. So it's sort of hard to read, but so it's a pretty amazing structure. First, there's the advisory board. So every single academy has an advisory board made up of the business partners, students, teachers, the administrators that sort of identify what the needs are there, and they sort of report into partnership councils, which are organized by business areas, and the National Chamber of Commerce oversees that. So we're part of the Arts and Entertainment Council, there's an Engineering Council, et cetera. So any issues there are elevated up to that level, so we can identify things that we might need to help, and also make sure that we're keeping the pathways evolving according to what our workforce development is. And finally, to advocate on behalf of the schools, our CEOs. So the CEO champions, for example, every single state has an issue with transportation and students. The academies, in next year, 2016, you will have choice to go to an academy outside of your zone, everyone, and transportation. They already have choice, but an ability to get there while working with our partners in Metro Transit Authority. So things like, so they can advocate, we've been trying to advocate for legislation to make it easier for career and technical teachers to, for example, a nurse is not going to leave his or her job to come and teach part-time in school. So alleviating that so they can get in there. So this is a snapshot of McGavock in 2013. We've got a few less students, but not too much. We're still Title I, but we're now in good standing based on our state scores. We have a level 5 school, which is the highest on TVAS, which is our evaluation standard. Highest possible score. We still are at 64% free and reduced lunch. But as of last year, because we don't have the data from this year yet, 73% graduation rate, 6.4 students. So McGavock used to be the high school that you were embarrassed to say you went to. Now everybody in this town is tired of hearing about us because we are all over the place. When you have the President of the United States come and visit your school, that was when Rob and I were like, we got to be doing something right. We're so excited about it. And so people are wanting to come back, and children actually have been coming back from private schools to experience this great stuff at McGavock. And we've increased our ACT score by 5%. So this is why we do it. And I got to turn over to Robbin, but Sarah, she was honored by the president in his speech when he came, Terrence and Jack. Sarah's the first in her family to graduate from high school, and it was because of her contact with one of our amazing producers at CMT, who's also a teacher there. Terrence was in the principal's office his entire freshman year. Bad attitude, but he wanted to be part of that cool award show because he loved music. He bonded with his audio teacher, graduated from high school, gone on to post-secondary. Jack is an example of a kid who would have done fine either way, but he wanted to do an internship at CMT. So we said, you got to get your grades up and stop slacking off. He graduated with all A's, and they are all in school right now. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce this lovely man who's actually the one who was on the ground making it happen with our awesome students, and you're going to be blown away by them.
That's correct. And that's really what this is about today, is you're getting to see the work that our students are doing. But first, Governor Beshear, thank you very much for letting us be here today to present. And Governor Sandoval, we appreciate that. I want to take this time to also thank Governor Haslam. He and his wife both took time to actually visit our campus at McGavock High School to see the neat things that we have.
He's been interviewed on camera by our students.
He was interviewed by our DDC students when he came to visit. So if you want to learn to fly an airplane, if you want to learn to be a master chef, if you want to, learn how to investigate a crime scene, come to McGavock High School because we can teach you. Our students are doing all kinds of things that are tied to the business world. One of the things that are key to education today is students want it to be relevant. Why am I learning? When I went to school, we never asked the question why. We did what we were told. That's not today's student. Today's student wants to know why you're doing, or why we're doing what we're doing. And you have to be able to show that tie to what opportunities lie for them after they graduate school. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking, but I will tell you that since
That's
the academy,
first.
I know. I could actually talk a couple hours about McGavock and the good things that we have going on, but I don't have time to do that. But I will tell you that the tie the academies have to the business of Nashville and the representation and the support that we get from the businesses in our community is one of the things that has made us turn the corner. They come to our schools, they come into our classrooms, they tell the students what it's going to take to be successful. It's not just hearing it from the principal, hearing it from the teacher, they're hearing it from people coming in from the real world. And that's the tie that you've got to make. The education has to be tied to real world experience. And that's again where the relevancy piece comes back in. And with the support of our school board, and I've got our school board member right here, Anna Shepard's here, and with the other things that are going on with Dr. Register, and with the support we get from our governor and our mayor with our education here, things are going up every year. Academic standards have grown unbelievable in the 5 years that I've been a part. When I came to McGavock High School, we were under restructuring, and we were a level 1 school. We were about to be taken over by the state. 5 years later, we're now a recognized school for the academic progress that we've made. We're in good standing with the state, and we're the only high school in Nashville for 4 years in a row to reach that level 5 standard of being the top score you can make according to state standards in Tennessee. So we're very proud of the games, and it's a great teaching staff, unbelievable teachers in my building, and it's students that are willing to put in the time and effort to make a change for what's good. And I'm going to introduce to you right quick now the students that I want to make sure that the governors that are still here, you take the time to go back and see what they had to show you. First off, from our Hospitality and Finance Academy, we have Abigail McLean, we have Clara Zinalaku, we have Brady Ray, and we have Bernice Aragus. They'll be back there with the Hospitality and Finance. Health Science and Law, I have Payman Bedahi, I have Jordan Scales, I have Emily Webb, and then from our DDC, that's Digital Design and Communication.
The CMT Academy of Digital Design and Communication.
Okay, it is. Samara Muhammad, Morgan Brown, and Jackson Moore. And then finally from our Academy of Aviation and Transportation, I have Ronald Elliott, who had the honor of introducing the president when he came and visited our campus, and great. Mordecai Choi. Please take the time. Yes. I'm very proud of McGavock. I'm very proud of our students, and I hope that you will take a few minutes, just a few, to see what kind of things these students are doing in our high school. So Governor Beshear, again, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Well, first of all, let's give Lucia and Robbin a big round of applause. And now comes the fun part. All the governors are invited to be first to go back and visit with these students and listen to them about these demonstration projects that they're doing, because this is exciting, and this is really what all of these efforts are all about. So we will stand officially adjourned, and governors, please join me in the back, and then the audience can come in behind us. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Governor. It's very easy. You just have to say Governor. Thank you so much. No, I don't. Although I was counted Duchess of
Thank you.
Hazzard, so.